I was 23 when Skyrim first came out, freshly single after my first serious breakup, living in a small townhouse in Sydney with my mum and my brothers. We'd bought an Xbox 360 for Skyrim and the Fable games. I even bought one of those thick player guides, the kind you can use as a doorstop or to knock someone out. I bought it because I was determined not to miss anything, and I didn't. I got so deep into side quests and exploring that I actually burnt myself out before I even really finished the main story. But even after I stopped playing, something about Skyrim stuck with me. Pieces of it, the freedom, the choice, the sheer scale of the world, the music, they wove themselves into my psyche in ways that I didn't fully realize at the time. And now in 2025, I can finally say that I finished it, on my third attempt no less, more than a decade later. Today I want to share why I believe I kept coming back, why this game has stayed with me throughout all these years, and what finally finishing it has taught me about life, about growth, and about authenticity. So, here is Skyrim in 2025, an XP Legacy POV. When I decided to do this video, I searched Skyrim on YouTube and realized it's absolutely flooded with content. Lo-fi videos, deep lore dives, mod showcases, you name it. It made me think, is anything unique I can actually add? And I landed on just wanting to share my experience. We're all unique individuals with our own way of seeing the world. So I wanted to talk about my experience in Skyrim. When Skyrim first came out, I knew nothing about Bethesda or any other Elder Scrolls series. It just looked cool. And with the family's new Xbox 360, it just seemed like a great way to break the new console in. We also had an EB Games across the road. So for those of you who don't know what that is, think GameStop in Australia. As I said, I bought this game guide because I stupidly thought I'd complete everything in the game. I barely scratched the surface before I burnt out. For some reason, I made this rule that I wouldn't fast travel. Yeah, I know. I don't know what my problem was. Even then, the game was weaving its way into my psyche. I remember attending a party with my partner at the time, and it was a video game dress-up party, and I dressed up as the Dragonborn. And the music they played at the party was from different video games. And I remember when the Dragonborn song came on, all the dudes lost it. They even had a Smash Bros tournament, which you know your boy won. Fast forward 10 years later, I picked it up again on my PC. And honestly, I probably played about 3 hours and dropped it again. And finally, 2025, I finished it. So why is that important and why should anyone care? So I think there's a few different things. I think for me, it was a commentary on my state of mind in 2011. Scattered, messy, not knowing how to lock in. I know a lot of people don't have this problem, but I've had this problem for most of my life. It wasn't overly prominent in my early 20s because I was trying to figure life out. In 2022, I think being older, I was able to observe things with a bit more of a critical eye. So I've said this a few times before on this channel, but I've been directionless a lot of my life, and it's a story you probably heard before, being lost in life and then having a baby and you get your shit together. So yeah, that was me too. Something about being a dad allowed me to see what was important in my life for what felt like the first time. And I'm definitely not saying to have a baby to lock in, but for whatever reason, this particular role has been the most important one in my life. So with being a parent, you have different types of struggles. And I've discussed this too. This feeling of losing your identity in being a parent, but also needing to be a parent. It's weird and it's hard to explain. But Skyrim came at a great time and gave me a space where it was just for me. I was able to approach Skyrim in a more intentional way. Again, I made up some rules of engagement. Fast travel was okay, but I would do 1 named quest and 2 miscellaneous quests per main quest. It was definitely a loose rule, but it got me to the end eventually. So I want to discuss why it was Skyrim and not Breath of the Wild, for example, that helped me. So let's start with gameplay. In my time playing Skyrim, I felt that the world treats you as a person, not just a player. When you chat to someone, they remember you. When you do a good deed, or do something dodgy, they remember. The NPCs have their own schedule. They eat, sleep, socialize, and work. It feels like the world exists independent of you, and that creates this feeling of consequence. I remember when I started the Dark Brotherhood questline, and look, I'm someone who seldom is bad in video games. If there is a good choice or close to what I do IRL, that's what I'll do. So I wake up in this shack and Astrid asks me to neck someone. I talk to them and I'm supposed to choose with incomplete information, mind you. I actually end up taking out Astrid and the rest of the Dark Brotherhood. So the Dark Brotherhood questline and the Civil War questline feel quite big in the scope of the game. But it's the smaller things in my opinion that give the game flavour. Things like adopting kids, obviously close to my heart, buying a house because I'll never be able to afford one in Sydney, and after coming back to drop all my loot after a long day exploring, a little kid that wants my money. I don't know, it feels nice to be needed. As I was progressing through the main storyline, one of the things I noticed was the weight of my choices. A lot of games give you choice, but for whatever reason, I felt the weight behind the decisions I had to make in Skyrim. I remember holding peace talks with the Imperials and the Stormcloaks to talk about the Alduin situation. And I was actually nervous about making the wrong decision. I think it has something to do with your character being largely silent. Think Link from Legend of Zelda type effect. By being silent, by default, we put our own thoughts and feelings and personalities on the character. So lastly, I can't talk about the gameplay without briefly mentioning combat. It's not perfect by any means, but look, I've been playing games for nearly 30 years now, and personally, I don't need it to be perfect, I just need it to be fun. And you know what's fun? Stealth Archer. Honestly, I didn't even know this was a meme until I started this playthrough. I tend not to dig too deep into topics unless they really interest me. So let's move on to environment. A lot of modern open world games get criticized for being empty. In my experience, it's very difficult to say that about Skyrim. The world just feels so full, and in the best possible way. You walk the roads and there are always picturesque landscapes. It's not just the landscapes though, it's the towns and cities. Whiterun in the morning and at sunset is just immense. Each area has its own ecosystem. You'll see deers grazing, wolves hunting, giants herding their mammoths. It's just so easy to stumble into something, like a bandit camp, a Dwemer ruin, caves. I remember stumbling upon this lighthouse and the keepers had just been killed. I looked around and I found journals from the owners being paranoid at the sounds coming from the basement. So I go and explore and it turns into this mini quest of justice for this poor family that moved out here only to be slaughtered. And all of this without any dialogue. There are a lot of moments like this without quest markers on a map, so it feels organic and your curiosity is really rewarded. The map itself feels so immense, but not so large that it's overwhelming, which is another thing that you see in modern games. I often find myself on a way to a quest and the picturesque scenery would just stop me. And I'd take a minute to just look out over Skyrim. You know, you'd look up and you'd see an aurora borealis dancing in the sky and it would legit give me butterflies. So if the game of Skyrim was a feast, the gameplay would be the main course, the environment would be the dessert, and the music would be the drinks that bring the whole evening together. I can say pretty confidently that there is media out there that no way gets to the heights it gets to without the music. Think Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Legend of Zelda, Pokemon. And I think Skyrim is one of those examples. Every piece of the game is elevated by music. It transforms it from a fun RPG that's a little dated to something that will endure, likely longer than all of us. I wanted to go through a few examples. On my travels, I came across a bard who, for a few septims, would sing you a song. Tell me, how does this turn into this?
For the darkness has passed and the legend yet grows. You'll know the Dragonborn's come.
Even the chant version of Dragonborn, So my son, he's 19 months old. You know what songs he likes to listen to on repeat? Wheels on the Bus, Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and Dragonborn. At first, he called it Hoo Ha, but he calls it Dragonborn now. What song do you want to listen to? Hoo Ha? Is that Dragonborn? If the music can reach a toddler, there is something there that will likely last generations. That song isn't the only one like that, mind you. There are a ton. Secunda, when you are exploring the forest regions, from past to present. The Jaro Mountains, Far Horizons, streets of Whiterun. Honestly, makes me wish I could live there. There's just so many, and they just add the finishing touches, but they're also crucial to the experience as a whole. Sometimes when I need to lock in on a task, I'll listen to Bits and Hits, Skyrim, but it's lo-fi beats. It hits so bloody hard. So this wouldn't be an XP Legacy video if we didn't discuss some form of growth. So after all this time, the 3 attempts, 15 years, finally seeing the quote unquote credits roll. What did I learn about myself? I think the first lesson is about growth. In 2011, I approached Skyrim in a way that was inconsistent with my personality. I tried to be a perfectionist. I tried to 100% the game, and I'm lucky if I did 10% of the game. At 23 years old, I was scattered and directionless, but I wanted my playthrough to mirror a life that wasn't mine. Fast forward to now, I'm a dad. I have responsibilities. My time is limited. I'm recording this at 10:30 at night. Weirdly, the limitations gave me a clarity and a focus that I've been missing my whole life. A little bit older and a lot wiser, I knew there was no way I was going to 100% this massive ass game. I have to be intentional with my time. So like I mentioned, I made some rules of engagement. 1 named quest, 2 miscellaneous quests per main quest. Fast travel allowed, if not preferred. And most importantly, I let my character develop naturally. For example, enrolling in the College of Winterhold. I did some quests, but tapped out when I was spending too much time there. Completion has its own value, and there is meaning in every path we take. Even if we don't explore every path, finishing something imperfectly is better than trying to be perfect and being perpetually in progress. And obviously this applies to more than just video games. The second lesson is about authenticity. So if you haven't gathered by now, I'm very pro being your authentic self. I think it's one of our greatest superpowers. When I played Skyrim back in 2011 with the guide, it was very much about trying to optimize my experience. Chasing the best builds, the most efficient paths, what quests gave me the best rewards. I was playing the guide's version of Skyrim, not mine. On this playthrough though, I just played what was fun. I joined the Thieves Guild, did a few quests, and dipped when I was ready. I didn't kill Parthenax because it didn't feel right, even though I'd lose access to the Blades questline. Also, why would I? Homie's out there trying to redeem himself, and I'm a sucker for a good redemption arc. And honestly, it made all the difference because suddenly I wasn't playing Skyrim, I was playing my Skyrim. My character, my motivations, my beliefs, and my moral compass. And I think that's the most important thing, right? Authenticity isn't trying to be the best version of something someone else creates. It's about being the most genuine version of you. Making choices that align with who you are creates a stronger sense of self. And isn't that really what we all need in our lives? In my 20s, I was weirdly trying to be everything. A good partner, that didn't end up well. A good employee, that didn't end up well. A good brother, that definitely didn't end up well. A completionist gamer, obviously that didn't end up well either. In my late 30s, I'm super okay with knowing I can't be everything. You have to choose who you are, and there's a freedom in that choice, not the limitations like you'd think. And Skyrim is like a mini lesson in that. You can't join every faction in one playthrough. You can't make every choice. Choosing one path often means not choosing another, and that's okay. Life is much the same. The third lesson is about life itself and how we choose to engage with it. You know what struck me during this playthrough? How much I appreciated the quiet moments, the solitude. walking through the forest with no objective, chilling on a mountaintop watching the aurora borealis, listening to the music, just being in the world. In 2011, those moments felt like wasted time. I should be questing, leveling, progressing. But in 2025, those were often my favorite parts, because I've learned that life isn't just about the destination or the achievements. It's about the experience of the journey. My son is 19 months at the time of recording this, and parenthood has this weird way of making you hyper aware of time. You watch them grow so fast, and you realize that you can't pause it. You can't optimize it. You can't go back over and do it again with a better build. You just have to be present. You have to make choices, do the best that you can, and live with the outcomes. Skyrim gave me a place to practice that, a space that was just for me, where I could be intentional about how I spent my time, where I could make decisions and see them through, where I could find value in both the epic battles and the quiet walks through the woods. And maybe that's the real reason why I kept coming back, because I needed to prove to myself that I could commit to something, that I could choose a path and see it through. That 23-year-old with the strategy guide trying to do everything perfectly, homie never stood a chance. But this version of me, the dad, the one who's learned to be intentional, to be authentic, he could finally finish it. Now that I have, I know that I'm capable of it. The projects I've been putting off, the goals that I've been afraid to commit to, the person I want to become as a father, as a partner, and as myself. Skyrim taught me that growth isn't always about being perfect. It's about being present, being intentional, and being authentic. And sometimes it's about finishing what you started, even if it takes 15 years. How sick is this bottle, by the way? That was a long one, folks, but it was good. It was fun. I appreciate you hanging out as always. Your time is very valuable. If you enjoyed this type of video, do all the algorithm things. I'd appreciate it a lot. And you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.